what this is going to look like is you're going to see 3 cards, and then you have to determine which one is banned. And the trick is it could be banned in any of the formats.
Did you know all these cards already? Are you like a big fanatic of Yu-Gi-Oh, or did you have to look them up a little bit?
I knew most of them, and it was one of my editors who's helping with this who went and found something. Because the other thing is we wanted them to also be like kind of themed within it. You'll see they're kind of themed within a set of things that they do. I know most of them. There was like 1 or 2 where I was like, what is this? Like, where even I couldn't really figure out why it was banned and had to like look it up.
Justify it. I get it.
All right. So banned in at least one format. Your first 3 are Maxi, 1 Day of Peace, Pot of Greed. There's one of these that is banned in all formats.
I'm pretty sure I already know which one that is.
And
because
it is?
it's a meme in card games. It's Pot of Greed.
Is?
Because it's like it's draw with no cost, right?
Exactly.
Draw with no cost, and that's giga broken.
You could just fill your hand with Pot of Greeds.
Yu-Gi-Oh has no mana system, right? It's just you can only play like one monster card a turn or something. You can play as many spells as you want, right?
Basically, in modern Yu-Gi-Oh, it's like you have your combo, and you basically play your turn for 1 to 2 minutes doing crazy shit to eventually have an end board of a bunch of boss monsters. So you basically reach the end game on turn 1. Their turn is to then counter that end board. The way I like Yu-Gi-Oh to me is like, and one of the ways that you do that is actually with Maxi. So it's like, this is the classic, like, hey, I'm going to play this card, synchro summon this card, which lets me then draw 2 cards, synchro summon another card, fusion summon, and like as soon as I'm doing that, if they played Max C and you didn't have a way to negate this, then on their turn, you're looking at like 20, 30 cards.
I mean, card draw is like, if you can play card draw in any format where there's no mana requirement, like it's going to be broken, right? Like that's just the way it is.
All right, and you were correct. It was Pot of Greed. Okay, next we have card destruction. Both players discard as many cards as possible from their hands, then they draw the same number of cards.
Okay, that's a really efficient way to get the correct hand, because you're basically just mulliganing your hand, and the game is all about combos, right? That one's done really broken.
Fiber Jar. Both players unite all their respective cards on the field and in their hands and in the graveyards, and then shuffle both decks and then draw 5 from their shuffled decks. Or Allure of Darkness, draw 2 cards, then banish 1 dark monster from your hand, or if you don't have any hand, send your entire hand to the graveyard.
I'm not sure how impactful refilling your hand is if you just try to one-tap people or you're trying to cycle for a combo. The second one is like, it was unite cards. What does that do? I don't understand what that mechanic is.
Basically, it's everything that's in your hand. Basically everything in the hand, graveyard, and decks all get put together into one deck that is shuffled.
Yeah, that's probably whatever. That doesn't sound that crazy. And then the third one doesn't seem that broken unless there is a combo piece where you like get a condition with banishing your entire hand. So I would say the first one is banned because that sounds broken.
It's incorrect. The first one is, but it's for the wrong reasons. Where it's like card destruction it's strong, like and there are decks that do it. Yeah, but it's actually Fiber Jar because and when you think that's because it's like, wait a minute, it's just kind of it's like a gimmick. It's like just so cheesy. It's less because it's a good card and more because it's just like that's just awful. Like that just ruins the game.
It's just bad gameplay. That makes sense.
This was the one that when I read it, I was like, I have no idea what the fuck this. I have no idea when they ever came up with.
I mean, who designed that card? Honestly,
I would love to see clips of this in a pro play, tournament play, anywhere. If someone can find someone playing Fiber Jar, that is insane to me. And one of these cards gets a little weird. It's like, you know, there's obviously the normal summon monsters, and then you get into the like XYZ summon, pendulum summon.
There's a bunch of different types of summons with different requirements, right?
Right. So there's a pendulum summon, Amorphage Goliath, and neither player can special summon monsters from the extra deck except Amorphage monsters. So once it's out on the field, you can't special summon anything from the extra deck except Amorphage. Next is Vanity's Emptiness, a trap card. Neither player can special summon monsters, period. If a card is sent from the deck or your field to the graveyard, destroy this card. And then lastly, Barrier, Statue of the Stormwinds, is a monster that when played, no monsters can be special summoned except for wind monsters.
So the first one is a summon that also block summons, same as the third one. They're essentially the same, except the third one is wind monsters.
I would say the big difference between all of these is actually these two say you can't special summon at all, whereas this one is just a special summon from the extra deck, which is where you have your fusion summons. It's where fusion, XYZ, and synchro summons are.
No monsters at all can be special summoned. And that's only special summon monsters from the extra deck. But trap cards can only be activated once, right? How would that work? How would a trap card work? Like if I played this trap card, how would that work? Is it
there's a type of trap card. It's denoted by this symbol, and usually it will actually say it. It's
infinity. I see. So it's consistent.
It's a continuous trap card. So it exists in the in the spell zone, and it's just there until you have a way of clearing it. Yeah.
Yep. I see. Oh wow. Okay. I would say that Vanity's Emptiness is the banned one because the requirement is pretty easy. You just draw it and then you play it, and then you just have a more basic deck in terms of little monsters to beat them. The Amorphage one I think is hard to summon on one turn, so maybe it's not banned. Yeah, that's my reasoning.
So it is actually this is one of those like weird things of the year. It's actually Barrier Statue of the Storm Winds, and I think I actually thought it would be Vanity's Emptiness, but I think the reason is if a card is sent from the deck or the field to your graveyard, destroy this card
to your graveyard. Yeah. I see that.
I think it's basically that like things can then happen that will send something to your graveyard.
What is sent to the deck from the deck? Yeah, that's a pretty easy way to remove it. Actually, I didn't see that. You were correct.
And the other thing is that this one's weird because it's like. And there's also a special note on this. There's a bunch of cards like this that exist, but for different types. Like there's Barrier Statue of the Heaven, Barrier Statue of the. There's like other ones
those aren't banned.
Yes. And someone in the comments is gonna have to tell me why. My understanding is that it's just because there's like some busted combo with wind cards that lets you. That if you are the wind player, you are able to play around this, whereas any of the other archetypes, it's not a problem for. Personally, I think all of these are bad design. I wouldn't have any of them in the game. I don't like limiting. I don't like, because I don't really think people play around types in Yu-Gi-Oh! As much. It was never really like, I think it used to be a thing, but as the game advanced, like these are all like very like kind of legacy.
I mean, it's like asking for removal, right? It's saying you either have removal or you don't, or you're dead. So, I mean, that's probably not that fun to play against, but at the same time, I don't know how hard it is to remove cards like that. Probably not terribly hard. I guess there's counters.
Yeah, I mean, it's only a 1,000 defense monster, 1,000 attack monster. It's like, it's doable to get rid of.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, this was one that was, this is where we get into paragraphs and into some dank shit, so if you have questions. So, see, if we did this the Hearthstone way, it's like, you get 1 mana next turn. But this is
yeah.
So Dandelion, when this card is sent to the graveyard, you can special summon 2 fluff tokens.
Okay.
In defense position. These tokens cannot be tributed for a tribute summon during the turn they are special summon. Scapegoat, special summon 4 sheep tokens in defense positions. These tokens cannot be tributed for a tribute summon. You cannot summon other monsters the turn you activate this card. And then lastly is Blockman. You can tribute this card, special summon in defense position a number of block tokens equal to the number of your turns this card has been face up on your field. These tokens cannot declare an attack.
Okay, so for Dandelion, you can block with it, and then it dies and on your opponent's turn, and then you can use the tokens next turn, right? Like that's
then you can special summon.
Yeah. That makes sense. The rock guy is weird. Wait, so you play it, and then
typically the way like tokens, you're trying to use tokens to special summon usually.
Yeah. No, that makes sense. Or to jump block or something, and that's why Scapegoat is like, you block like 4 cards. Interesting. I don't understand why Dandelion would. Okay, I don't think it's Scapegoat, first of all, because I think Scapegoat is just like a bunch of blocks. Like you're just blocking a bunch of stuff. You can't use it for tribute summons, and you can't really do much else with it. And it's a spell card, so you have to use it on your turn and then do stuff. So between Dandelion and block, like the block guy is really weird. I just don't understand how it would be that broken. Turn 1, you would get 1 block token. You can tribute it. So if I tribute Blockman and I block with, or I put it in block position the turn I summon it, do I get 2 tokens? Like, is it block man plus the token? Or do you
No.
not know that? No,
Nope.
no. Okay. Okay, I would say that is Dandelion. I think Dandelion is the strongest of these. And yeah.
That
I
is
feel like
correct, and it's literally because of using tokens to special summon. And because it's like it's the last part of these tokens cannot be tributed for a tribute summon during the turn they are special summoned, but the next turn they can be. So
yeah, you could probably even kill yourself in
Blockman's
some
definitely
cases.
weird, but I don't know. I just don't really see how it could ever generate that many tokens. Whereas this one banned because it can do some. There's some crazy combos that can be done with it.
There's some funky things. I like that. I like that card. That card looks fun.
All right, these are some big, like, sort of basically you pay a bunch of your life points to do an action. So there's extra foolish burial. You pay half of your life points, which, you know, again, turn 1 would be 4,000 because life points are at 8,000. But again, if you only have 1,000, so yeah.
Yep.
Pay half your LP. Send one monster from your extra deck to the graveyard. There's Solemn Judgment. So when a monster would be summoned or a spell trap card is activated, you can pay half your LP and negate the summoner activation. And if you do, destroy that card. Basically says, I'm going to pay half my LP to just stop you from doing something. Yeah. And then Cyberstein, and you can pay 5,000 LP and then just special summon a fusion monster from your extra deck in attack position. Any monster from the extra deck, or any fusion monster from the extra deck, without doing its normal fusion requirements.
You can do that immediately. You pay 5,000 health.
Yep.
And then you activate the effect and you get that monster immediately.
Wow.
What? That sounds so busted. Let me read the other ones. I feel like the second one is good, but I think there's ways to negate. There's trap cards that negate things, and this might be encompassing of too much, but I feel like Solemn Judgment is not crazier than some of the cards I've seen in Yu-Gi-Oh! Before. Cyberstein sounds broken. Extra Foolish Burial, I don't know how easy it is to summon after you send it to the graveyard. I think that is a requirement for a lot of the cards. I actually think when I played Yu-Gi-Oh! There was a card where, like, if you sent it to the graveyard, you can, like, summon it by paying something. So that might be the most broken card, but I'm going to go with Cyberstein because it just sounds so broken. So Cyberstein's my guess.
Correct again. This is one where I know. So Solemn Judgment is like people. It's still a pretty common like staple card. It's used. I've actually never. Extra Foolish Burial was one I never knew of. I know of Foolish Burial, which is just a normal card to your graveyard. I don't think there's too many like cards in the extra deck that play around the graveyard. Like there's some that's like if it goes to the graveyard, you can draw a card, but like that's not really that useful.
Oh, there's no like you insta summon it or something?
There's a few, but it's almost like an extra step. Whereas, okay, when I saw this, I was like, this is just insanity. If you could do this turn 1 and just be like, hey, here's my like an end game fusion monster. And I think the reason is it's an older card and fusion monster power scale to the point where like, yeah, you'll pay 5,000 LP and just win the game. So insane.
Yeah, I mean, it just looks ridiculous. I thought this might be a trick question with the Foolish Burial, but yeah, that card is like you draw a turn 1, the game's like over, right?
It is Cyberstein. That was the illegal one. Okay. Lastly, and yeah, get ready. Okay, and now I give you this is the final challenge for paragraphs. This is going to be for OCG, not for Master Rule, but for the normal card game. Which of these 3 is banned? So Baron de Fleur is a synchro summon monster. And the biggest thing is it has a negate, a one-time use negate, but it is an what's called an omni negate. It can negate anything. The next is, and these are all like boss monsters. There's Sword Soul Supreme Sovereign.
Wait, hold on, one second. How hard is it to summon this? Like, there's like a billion stars on it. What do you have to do for that? I guess if it's synchro, you need to kill synchro things, right? And then
it's 1 tuner and 1 non-tuner monster for both of these, and you can actually like you're getting these out turn 1. These are all 3 considered boss monsters that you're getting out turn 1. I would say the hardest one to summon is the last one.
Yeah, that's a lot of stars.
Yeah. So the middle one is for each banished card, this card gains attack, defense, and your monster's opponent loses attack, defense. If the card would be destroyed by card effect, you can banish 1 card from your graveyard instead. And then if a card is banished except during the damage step, you can banish 1 card each from both your opponent's field and the graveyard. And you can only use that effect once per turn. But basically, it gets insane stats based on the number of cards banished in a graveyard.
Okay.
The last one is, so those require tuner and then non-tuner. The last one requires 5 level 13 monsters, which is insane. If this card is special summon, but it also has another summoning condition, so no one summons it that way. Like doing 5.
Okay, yeah, I was gonna say, I was like, what? Okay.
So it has another card related to it.
If this card is special summoned by this one card, it gains 100k during your opponent's turn only, so it can't attack with it. Also apply the following effects to start a turn. Monsters your opponent controls, so it always has taunt. And then at the end of your opponent's turn, if this card did not battle, you win the duel. So they always have to attack into it with 1 monster. When an opponent monster declares an attack, you can detach 1 material from this card and negate the attack. If you do gain LP, so you can get a ton of health as well. I don't know what the material. What is material like?
So because this is an XYZ card, these like black cards, they're usually, so it says like 5 level 13. Usually XYZ cards are summoned by like a number of cards of the same level, and that those cards are then stuck to the card and are considered material for it. Whereas with Baron or like synchro summoned cards, when you take the 2 cards, put them together to synchro Baron to Fleur, those 2 cards then go into the graveyard.
They're graveyard. I got it.
Whereas with this, technically the cards are like attached underneath this card.
Yeah, and you can use them as effects. Okay. So my initial thought after these cards is the right card is some ridiculous garbage win condition, but like I don't know how hard it is to summon, but that seems impossible to summon just from the base. 5 level 13 monsters impossible. I don't know the C1000, but it seems ridiculous. But if you get the card, you probably win the game. I also don't know how it seems a little vulnerable to removal, right? Because they just have to attack into it, but you can still remove it, I think.
Exactly. It's not protected by.
Yeah.
I mean, there's even cards that's like, hey, when like there's literally a card that is super limited called Fenrir that super meta right now. If it attacks, you can just banish a card.
Yeah.
During the attack phase.
The other 2 cards are like, they have removal protection, which is ridiculous. The one on the left only has it 1 time. The one in the middle has it every single turn, and you get to banish their card, if I understand that correctly. I think the middle card is because like if this card would be destroyed. Okay, so destroyed by a card effect, is that the same as banish? Like, so like in Hearthstone,
there's destroyed, which sends to the graveyard, and banish, which is separate. So you can actually banish Sword Soul Sovereign.
I see. But Baron, you could use the negate effect to stop the banish.
Correct.
But the left one is only once ever, right? You can negate a destroy the card.
Baron can only use the Omni negate once, and then every turn it can also just pop cards. It can kill cards in the back line or the front line, and just as a ability.
Okay. I still think it's the middle one because it's every turn and you get to banish their stuff. I think the left one is very strong, but I would say the middle one is like every single turn and you get to do more effects. That's my guess.
It's so you're definitely is right. That's not this one. This card is insane and weird, but like it just this is probably just like one of those
crazy.
Weird. It's like one of those weird gimmick win conditions. Supreme Sovereign Chanian is not banned. It has like a lot. It has a lot of limitations. The weird one is Baron is like giga meta in Master Duel and banned in the OCG. But it's used in Master Duel. But this is like when you ask like how easy it is to get, like, dude, people get out Baron like that. The Omni Negate is extremely powerful. Yeah, and some people have even asked for it to be banned in Master Duel because it's like it's just like such a staple card that like everyone, especially if it's a synchro deck, everyone like you would run it with in the same deck that runs Supreme Soul.
That would make sense because you could stop the effect that like really hurts you, or stop their card draw, or stop something that is very important, because you don't have to deny the first thing, right? You just keep passing until it's something crazy.
I think one of the reasons why people don't like Baron de Fleur, it's actually one of the reasons I don't particularly, I mean, I run it, but I don't like it. It's like I like Supreme Soul Sovereign because it's like run in a archetype deck, whereas Baron de Fleur is like a generic boss monster.
You just splash it. You just splash it, right? Like it's just a good card, basically. So you're saying, yeah, that makes sense.
But it already has a fancy animation in Master Duel, so Yeah, then we'll get rid of it. And that is all for
Nice.
apparently later this year. There's supposed to. I'm excited. I'm probably going back to Yu-Gi-Oh later this year because there's gonna be new Exodia archetype stuff, and that's really the main thing I play. I just like playing Exodia. I just think it's a cool cheesy win condition.
I mean, ending the game in like one turn is pretty fun, but I just don't. It's interesting because I feel like it's almost like poker. You just like kind of get a hand and you're like, oh, I can win with this. Oh, I can't win with this.
Yeah,
But
I mean, I think like that's why it's almost like when you play Yu-Gi-Oh, it's like a session where it's like you're playing 10 games in that session, and maybe 3 of those are like actual back and forth games. The other 7 are you instantly won or they instantly won.
yeah, I see. And then it's also the prep work of bringing in the correct deck.
I hated the combo stuff until I learned it, and then it became pretty fun. And then, anyways, Dog, dude, thank you so much for recording this with me. Appreciate that, man.
Yeah.
Anyways, guys, thank you so much for watching the video. Like and subscribe, and we'll do more of these where we have people try to guess some of the powers of Yu-Gi-Oh cards or what some of the combos are, stuff like that. Thank you, guys. And again, shout out to Dog, one of the best Hearthstone players in any of the Hearthstone formats, for coming on and talking a little bit about Yu-Gi-Oh.